Hi, my name is Dale Adams of Planning Ahead of Time, and on this week's Pat Chat, I'm speaking with David. David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm David Holmes from Ashes to Blooms. We're based down in Worthing on the south coast. And if a family's suffered a loss, they can send us some of the ashes and we create wildflower memorial seed balls using the ashes for the family to plant and remember the one that they've lost.
Which is a lovely idea. And actually, I heard of you recently through Lifting the Lid Festival of Death and Dying, and you and I both presented on it.
Yes. Well, first of all, that was a brilliant festival, the first one I've ever been involved in. And next year, I'm just going to set aside well, it's 3 solid days of talks. And I didn't realize how much was involved. So next year, it was a brilliant experience. But next year, I'm just blocking off 3 days in my calendar. And it sounds like you had trouble fitting it in as well. So we both just need to do that, don't we, next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's day and night, and I think
Yeah,
I managed to catch quite a lot of it, but there
yeah,
are certain things at the weekends when you've got family time, and so I didn't get to catch it all. And there were so many fantastic speakers and
absolutely.
just interesting discussions, wasn't there?
Absolutely. And I suppose we're all in our own little worlds doing our little things in the death industry. We're all death practitioners, different ways. We toddle along and do our own little things. But it's only every so often you get involved in these other projects. And you're like, there's so many other people doing so many brilliant things that I've just totally, they say I've been doing this for 20 years. You think, oh, how have I missed this? So we just need more of that. But obviously, the fact that Lifting the Lid has grown so much and has so many speakers is a sign that the whole sort of alternative um, ideas sort of world is really growing now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And it's so good that it was, as an international festival, there were people
Yeah,
from so many countries on so many of the presentations. And we're all really thinking the same way, trying to get other people talking about dying and death and loss and understanding it more. Yeah, there really is this sort of feeling of community that goes beyond the borders of the UK. It's international and it's fantastic. But
absolutely.
I did catch your presentation, and it was brilliant. I think a lot of people were saying, you should be on stage. It was very entertaining as a whole. But what you do, it has a real serious side, which is that you are gifting this back to people through the seaballs that you're creating. So can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yes. So early 2022, I lost Lucy Rabbit. She was this wild rabbit in all senses of the world. I had her for 12 years and she was my companion animal, particularly during lockdown. But I should say she wasn't initially wild. I did, get her from a proper provider. But her whole personality, domesticated, but she did exactly what she wanted. She was my companion. It was her flat, her rules. She did what she wanted when she wanted. There was no telling her what to do. She basically did what she wanted when she wanted. She was a brilliant companion for 12 years. When she was ready for strokes, she would jump on the sofa and nibble my arm. That was my demand for strokes. When she got older, she couldn't jump on the sofa. She would sit on the floor and stare at me, and that was my demand to get down. So I had 12 brilliant years. And when I lost her in early 2022, um, I found myself looking for eco ways to use her ashes in a sort of really lovely outdoor natural way. And there was just a lack of anything that I felt really fitted that. And that's how Ashes to Blooms came about.
Okay. Now, basically, you're putting the ashes, but into different compounds, aren't you? I don't know if compounds is the right word, but I know you were talking about there are different soils, and so there's clay soil, and I'm not a gardener, so but you were talking that you actually adapt that to the area that somebody's going to be planting them in. Have I got that right?
Absolutely, yeah. First of all, I'll just say I'm also not a gardener. I really just always say that this project found me. This course that I'm now on found me. So I'm not from a gardening background, and basically, I think the sea balls are perfect. because they are really for non-gardeners like me. You need no skill. I've got least green fingers. I can kill any plant, but I can actually keep seed balls going. So yeah, because of because it's so precious what we're doing. People are trusting us with their loved ones' ashes. I don't want to make seed balls for them using the ashes. They plant them in their garden and they simply don't grow. So I've worked out these different seed mixes for different areas. So down in Worthing on the sunny south coast, great for summer holidays if anyone's in the area. We've got loads of chalk, but loads of Sussex's clay. Or if you've got no garden, you might want to put them in a little planter on your windowsill. And if you've got pets that love eating your flowers, you might be worried. So we've got a pet friendly mix. So we worked out all these mixes so that wherever you plant them, you'll get a beautiful range of flowers growing, and particularly flowers that will come back year after year. Because my worst nightmare is or firstly them not growing, or secondly it's a one-off thing and people don't get that ongoing experience from them.
Yeah, and of course, when it is your, if you like, your loved ones that you're sort of planting and wanting to remember, you want that to be ongoing, don't you? So yeah,
Absolutely.
I completely understand that. So people send you some of the ashes. Like, how much would you need?
Yes, so we only need 50 grams. So that's partly because Royal Mail will only let people post 50 grams at a time, and also because of the ashes toxicity issue. So, as we all know, ashes is high in alkali, and if you have a lot of them in close proximity with seeds, then the high alkali could affect seed growth. So we want to keep the ashes proportions reasonably, balanced with the seeds. So we only need 50 grams. And as we all know, there's so many beautiful options now for using ashes. So somebody might want to have some of the ashes painted into a beautiful canvas. I see him as a chap who, he mixes the ashes with his paint. He paints the picture for you, and then he actually sends you back the paintbrush as well that he's used. It's absolutely beautiful. And somebody might want jewellery, and somebody might want to put some of the ashes into a rocket, which is another lovely idea. So we need 50 grams. And as we know, well, I'm endlessly surprised. The average person weighs 3 kilos. And of course, I speak to clients all day about ashes. And we always just say, I can't believe how much it's, until you've handled them, I think we're all shocked, aren't we?
Yeah,
By the
yeah,
weight
like,
of them.
yeah.
You just think of a few light ashes, like from a bonfire, don't you? You don't think of the actual physical weight of them.
No, totally agree. When the only ashes I've ever handled are my mum's, and yeah, I was very surprised when they
Yes,
when they came back. But as you say, you do want to do different things with them, whether it's jewelry. I know somebody whose ashes went up in a rocket. I've not heard of the painting though. So to be honest, that's the new one. That's something I'm going to be having a look at when we're off this call. So
yeah,
when they send that through to you, so you get your 50 grams. How many
yeah.
seed balls do you make with that? Because what if people wanted to give some out?
Yes, so as standard, we make 10 seed balls. So 50 grams makes 10 seed balls upwards. I tend to find people order either one bag, so 10 in a bag, one bag, two bags, or 10. There doesn't seem to be much in between. And I think it's really, people just have two ways of looking at it. It's either, I've lost mum, I've lost my brother, I'm going to plant some, and then my sister's going to plant some. Or it's, I want the whole family and some close friends to be able to grow some of my loved one in their garden. So it's people seem to have these two ways, either keeping it very close and intimate or sharing it a little bit more widely so that they know that everyone in that sort of circle is getting to continue enjoying
Yeah,
that person.
yeah. So, okay, this is probably a strange question, but one seed ball, for example, I mean,
Mm,
you can see I've got a few
yeah,
plants behind me. Yes, I'm very good like you, killing them. I have somebody else who basically is a lot more green fingered than me who keeps them alive.
yeah,
But if I was to take a seed ball and put it in just what is a standard plant pot as one behind
yes.
me, is one seed ball enough, or would you need a couple in there? Or is that not really the right place for them?
I would say you can get up to a large dinner plate sort of area covered by one seed ball. Because, of
Wow.
course, the seed balls are only like small ping pong balls. But as we all know, things like poppy seeds are just, you could get 20 under your fingernail, couldn't you? So there's hundreds in a little seed ball. But I would say large dinner plate. So sort of the kind of pots you've got behind you, one seed ball in there will give you a lovely thick, a lovely thick area of growth. Or if you're happy to have them a little bit more spaced out with other bits to grow in between, then you're up to a large dinner plate.
Okay, so actually 10 seed balls is a really good amount then, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's sort
So
of what I'm trying to say. Well, what would then allow you, if you like, to have sort of plant pots outside where you could put a couple
yeah,
in and things like that. So really 10 would give you some for yourself and maybe another person or two. But
absolutely.
yeah, okay, that's really interesting. And then you just plant them like you would if you were planting a bulb or a plant. You just surround them, pop them in, water them. Is it as simple as that?
It is as simple as that. So you can literally throw them on the soil, and when they get watered, they'll crumble down, and of course they'll get mixed in with the soil. So yeah, throw them on the soil, crumble them, or push them into the soil, as you say. I always say push them into the soil a bit or crumble them because there's always that risk that if there's a dog or a fox running around, they might run away with them. So push them into the soil, and we specifically worked out this mix. So it's got sort of 10% of annual varieties. So you get lovely colour in year one, because I want people to get that sort of immediate result so they know something's happening. And then most other varieties are annuals, so they'll come back year after year. But I would just say to people at the end of the summer, when they've had their best, when they've sort of gone brown, cut them all down short and then just leave all the stalks there cut for about a week, and then all the seeds fall off, and then they're in the ground ready for next year. I mean, you take away all your old stalks after a week, and then you've got all your the circle just continues, and they'll come back year after year for you.
Which is just fantastic, isn't it? That's lovely. And okay, so with regards to the flowers, can you choose if you sort of want something that's maybe comes out with specific colours that reminded you of that person, or how does it work as to what somebody can get?
Basically, there's no limits. If it's a seed, we can include it. So on the website, there's a limit, especially with my limited IT skills, to how many varieties we can have on there. So we've got all the classic varieties, but we've said on there, we love a challenge. We like making different packaging. We can do different shapes of balls. I suppose it wouldn't be a ball then, but we can do a different shape, different packaging. It can be packaged in colours you like. If people just send us details, we will do whatever we can to get the result they want. And simply all I charge for is the additional seed cost or additional ribbon cost. And for example, so I make we've also sort of make wedding favors now. And if the bride or groom or whoever involved has got certain flowers they love, we can make the seed balls using those flowers they love. Or with our ashes seed balls, if the family have got special flowers on the coffin, then as long as it's seeds rather than bulbs, then they can all be included. And we love doing something different for people. So please set us a challenge, because it's yeah, we always love to try something new.
Well, that's fair enough. But okay, you've just mentioned doing wedding
Mm,
favours.
mm.
Is that to do with the ashes, or is that something totally different, or is it still to do with ashes?
So far, that has only ever been without ashes, but it all grew from the ashes seed balls. And I thought we're already so closely connected with death and dying and funerals. We can also be involved in other joyous occasions, because it's the same principle. We create the seed balls to remember. And if you're having a wedding, um, then you want people going away from your wedding to remember your special day. So we create seed balls in little wedding favors for them to go on tables, and then the friends go away. And if we use the same varieties or colours as the bride or groom use in their bouquets or on the tables, then when they grow, the people attending the wedding will remember them every time they see them. So it's just that thing about including people in those big events, and just helping them to remember you.
Okay. In my head, I'd slightly
Mhm.
mixed that up and I'd got it that it was to do with maybe having the ashes within. I know you said wedding favors and I know what they are, but in my head, I was like, oh, it's enabling, if you like, the bride and the
Mhm.
bridesmaids to actually be carrying something that had contained the ashes of their loved ones, so that the loved one is sort of within the ceremony and within
Mm.
the flowers, but in that way. So I'm glad that I asked a question and you clarified that, because yes, my blondness took me on a whole different route there.
I think me just randomly dropping it in, that was the cause. So it was all you, not me. But yeah, I'm sure at some point, if you're having a small wedding, people will, because I've been to so many weddings, and you have that incredibly emotional part where you say dad couldn't be here or grandma couldn't be here. And at some point, they're going to want to include the ashes, because it's just another lovely way to have them included. So that is, it's only a matter of time, because people are always coming to me with new ideas and different ways to use seed balls. And we do currently create funeral favors with ashes. So people will order the little boxes of favors, and if you're having a memorial, say on an anniversary, or the anniversary of the date you lost them, or wedding anniversary, people are ordering the funeral favors and with the ashes, and then people are sharing them and then planting them on those special occasions. So there's a real blurring, and it's just a lovely way for it to be included in any occasion.
Yeah, for me, absolutely. I think I would want, if you like, it's slightly different for me, but if I was
Yeah,
younger and my
yeah,
mum had died when I
yeah,
was younger and getting married, then I would have, yeah, been happy to have her ashes in something, so that
yeah,
actually she was part of the day in that way. So yeah, I think
absolutely.
there's definitely something in all of it, isn't there? Because they, we want to include our loved ones who have died in our special occasions. We do, because we
Exactly.
remember them anyway. We're thinking about them anyway, on these. And since my mum died, we still toasting her at Christmas. I still think
Of
about her
course.
all the time. It's not that just by not talking about them, we're not thinking about them, and actually having them included, I think, is so lovely. And especially when, my granddad, it was daffodils. My other granddad, it
Yeah,
was tulips.
yeah,
And for them, it's then having that every time I see the daffodils start coming, I quite instantly start to think of my granddad. So
of course.
it really does. Flowers particularly do relate so well to events that we have through our life, don't they?
Absolutely. Well, flowers are one of those things that probably most people enjoy throughout life. We send them on special occasions, whether they're happy or sad. My friend had a stroke last week, so I sent her um, a, um, a plant, and it's just a nice way to show people that you love them. The seed varieties can connect so closely to our smells, because of course perfumes and things are often based on flowers, and certain flowers make us think of certain events and gardens, and gardens that where we've seen them growing, and people connect to those gardens. We have such that connection. For example, I've got my brother's seed balls growing on my balcony. So so I've got him a large plant, all 10 seed balls, have taken over my balcony. Absolutely. He was a huge gardener. He didn't have interests; he had obsessions, and gardening was one of his many obsessions. So he's taken over my balcony, turning it into a garden. He overlooks my garden, and the south. I've got sea glimpses, and he gets the sea glimpses. And every time I go out there every day to water, I talk to him, and he thinks at some point he'll escape me when I move. But he's in my planter, and he's coming with me. He's never going to escape me. So yeah, and I feel close to him. I get to talk to him, and every end of each summer, I cut the flowers short, and it's like putting him to bed. And then the next summer he comes back, and it's yeah, it's for me, it's different for everyone, but it makes me feel close to him, knowing that I've got that connection to him.
Yeah. It's lovely. Listening to you talk about it is just lovely. You can then see where all of this passion is coming from. And I know that
Absolutely.
you said that it started with Lucy the rabbit, but obviously now the fact of it's actually something that's so significant to you and with your brother, yeah, that's really, really lovely to hear. So if other people are interested in getting some of the seed balls from you, How do they do that? How do they get in touch?
I'm always happy to hear from people, even if it's just them mulling ideas around. Best starting point is ashes2blooms.com. All the details are on there. We're just in the process of launching petashes2blooms.com, because although we've always helped people with pets, we've not been very good at communicating that. So we've launched this special pet service. But those two websites, info@ashes2blooms.com, send me an email or give me a call day or night. 07732 and no pressure to buy. I always like to discuss possible ideas and can we try new things, new shapes, new varieties? Where can we plant them? So I just like meeting people and talking to people and discussing possibilities. So I'd love anyone to get in contact with me. And on socials, we're on as Ashes to Blooms UK.
Brilliant. Well, I think you might regret saying any time of day or night.
I'm pretty asleep. That's fine. I just any time. I'm always up for a chat. I get bored if I'm here alone for too long, so I'm always up for a chat.
Brilliant. I love that. I love it. Okay, well, it's been really, really interesting to speak with you, and thank you for answering all of my questions, even the random ones.
Thanks so much. I loved it.
Okay, and we'll speak to you again, I'm sure.
Thanks so much, Dale.